Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second day of the We Are Millions Hackathon. Today's we kick off the hackathon with the topic of the day is empowering digital freedom. And when we were actually putting the program together, it was long before the recent unfolding of the events of the start of the war in Ukraine. And it seems today that this topic is even more important. It's as developers, there is not that much we can do except for staying on course what we set out to do. So, and with Swarm, our mission is to empower digital freedom by making data unstoppable. And this is what we will continue to do, and hope that many of you join us in building tools and solutions that enable digital freedom, in building a platform for a self-sovereign digital society. And when we speak about a self-sovereign digital society, it is my pleasure to announce here and invite Victor to give us his view on this, to tell how we do this at Swarm. And he started this mission long ago. So Victor, are you here? Yes. Hello. We cannot hear you, Victor. You are muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling okay. I'm a bit stressed about the war situation, but otherwise good.
Yes, it's a difficult situation, and I think the anxiety is looming over all of us. So, digital freedom. Let's make it happen. Let's play our part in this.
Yeah. Can I share my screen? Maybe.
Please do. Please do.
Let's see.
All right, we can see your screen. And with this, the floor is yours, Victor. I'll check in at the end.
Can you see it in presentation mode?
Yes, it's in presentation mode.
Fantastic. So today I'm talking about Swarm in the context of being a future-proof infrastructure for steps of a global digital society. As you all know, this is our motto in Swarm. This is kind of a credo to serve as the future-proof infrastructure platform for steps of a global digital society. Let's unpack this a little bit. Before that, I would like to give a little synopsis into what I'm going to talk about today. So we're going to start with a little bit of evaluation of the current situation, like where we are with technology and society and globalization. And then I'm going to tell you why I think that it's what we are on to is basically the next big thing, and then tell you a little bit about why Swarm might be contributing quite substantially to this next big thing, or indeed. So let's unpack this a little bit. Future-proof infrastructure for a self-sovereign digital society. So what makes society self-sovereign global digital, and what are these? What are members of this society are doing? Well, members of society do interact, and they interact specifically in globally, space-time, using the medium that helps connect us on a planetary scale, basically digital media and IT infrastructure. And in terms of agency, this interaction must be free, and in terms of ethics and security, it must be fair. Now, like in every society and every stage in kind of a cooperative collectives, the fact that there's uneven distribution of primary resources, lead to a kind of a little bit of restriction on equality. In general, this point is often missed, and a lot of times kind of really unrealistic goals are chased, and lots of ideas. The truth is that in these conditions, it's a natural law that all assets and variables, including all aspects of wealth, reputation, and skills and opportunities, follow the distribution of power law, which means that the small percentage of the members or individuals in the collective possess the great majority of the resources, and the other way around, the majority of the members possess the really small proportion of the resources. What you can best do with this situation, the natural law, is to basically increase the long tail, and put it in more political terms, create a strong middle class, or in general, this natural law is a kind of bad news, but there's good news, in the sense that there's actually tools and ways and opportunities for us to have this situation and increase productivity, and in general lower the barrier of entry to any interaction that leads to value creation. And I'm going to argue that this can be done with quite a bit of difference can be made with technology, and that's why my view is in general optimistic. It's a bit difficult to deliver an optimistic speech in the context of full-on war next door, but let's try to see why waging war in general is so last century, and in general it's the fact that it's viable to wage war is due to largely centralized infrastructure, and because that makes the bottleneck and narrowing in the system, which makes it attackable, and attacks and violence viable. And in a way, I would like to make a connection to this situation in the sense that what I'm going to present is that in general societal change will benefit quite a great deal from a decentralized infrastructure, because the concentration of power and corruptibility is present to a much lesser degree, or completely eliminated in such systems. Now let's move on to what is digital about this whole thing, and why I'm talking about general economy, which includes kind of feeding people or going to the amusement park. Why I'm not talking about file storage or how do I get there? So basically what I'm claiming here is that in general the digital footprint of economic interaction is data exchange, and this is what makes the Swarm platform pivotal in what I call the next thing. Remember that when cryptocurrencies, and especially Turing complete blockchains emerged, we already had this beginning of the hype cycle, these expectations that now it's going to be possible to make the decentralized Airbnb, the decentralized Uber, eBay, etc., etc. However, for this to happen, it's not only the business logic and the central computational part of these businesses had to be decentralized and secured on a world level computer like this here in blockchain, but also we soon realized that it needs all various aspects of data exchange to work. I make kind of audacious claim here that the various aspects of data exchange, if we incentivize them and make them future-proof, they hold the key in modeling and incentivizing a free and fair data economy, which is the underpinning of a self-sovereign digital society. So there's various ways in which you can help the efficiency of data exchange, and therefore basically improve improve prosperity and the efficiency of markets. We know that human interaction or agents interaction, if voluntary and have maximum information and honest information available, then basically it's by definition leads to value creation. And in my view, the more efficient and the more volume of the voluntary value creating the exchanges and interactions, the more society will change and prosper and then progress. And there's various ways in which we can make these data exchanges and economic interactions more efficient. Basically, help spread the information state, so make information globally accessible and verifiable. Kind of give access to all kinds of productivity tools and help aspects of bureaucratic and administrative tasks in businesses which are not part of the substantive part of their business. We can also increase with persistent available data platform help the transparency of provenance of tracing the supply and basically logistics of certain goods and products, or even the provenance of ideas and their evolution. There's an extra layer in which you can also help this economy and make it more efficient by shifting costs. Namely, I'm talking about shifting costs from capital intensive tasks to user and ultimately end user paid costs. So if you, for example, if you use Swarm's infrastructure, then you shift the cost of scaling and your resources to the user, and therefore eliminate lot of need for early decision on your computing and storage infrastructure. You make a lot of savings on prognosis, and of course, since you decrease your capital initial investment costs, you also make your project much more viable to be tried and fail or succeed without much visit to VCs and try to sell your idea. So basically, in general, shifting costs from capital intensive but initially invested resources to real-time resources payable by users is a major contributor to more efficient economies and more fluid and more agile iterations of development of certain products. In general, data economy, you expect that these data exchanges cover certain functionalities. Basically, they have to take care of making services and goods and providers and customers discover each other. They connect, they keep their reputation, and in the actual exchange, make them make it possible to have quality assurance and in a way support for them to make economic exchanges in a trustless setting. which basically means all kinds of escrow conditions or escrow services, and in general make the best out of the barter, so to say. So provide means to be able to account for the mutual value of these exchanges. And I put it in very kind of generic terms, kind of thing here, but there's all kinds of monetizing, just basically the escrow service releasing of previously tied up amount of funds, but it can also refer to kind of investment or credit, etc., etc. So once again, what we also talked about, like the data exchange is the most important and digital footprint of the societal economic interactions, and what you need to work from an infrastructure point of view is to have base layer services that make this data exchange most efficient. What would it mean in terms of properties? It means that the system, the data, the basic infrastructure that allows and represents these data exchanges, or allows these data exchanges, they need to be inclusive. So I'm going to talk about the 4 eyes of the future, which makes the system future-proof. These are kind of abstract attributes. So inclusivity means that basically everybody can have access to these services with minimal investment or minimal upfront cost needed. And if they contribute their resources, then basically they can even have some kind of zero cost entry into the system. But most importantly, the system is decentralized, in the sense that it allows for permissionless participation. In other words, there's no gatekeepers that would decide and discriminate between certain participants that they are apt to contribute or to use the system or access their data. It provides a strong integrity, which means it provides protection of privacy. It has strong privacy features in it. It has most data and data attributes are provable, and processes can be tracked and make the conditions against those processes can be made enforceable on smart contracts. So some of these data arrangements should be provable. Most importantly, the integrity also means that the intention of any publisher of a data source is checkable, is verifiable on the retriever side. Namely, there's no more kind of defacing hacking attacks where someone's site is exchanged for another one that they don't need to show. So there's data integrity, which is provided by content addressing and so on. Most importantly, incentivization, which on the one hand creates a kind of perpetual mob lane, as it were. So incentivization is the aspect of the decentralized network which make it economically self-sustaining, make it smoothly set or configure the incentives so that the supply and demand conditions are met, and the interactions are if there's a market need and the supply, they find each other, and most smoothly they provide the service to the providers to the customers. And this involves here, of course, file storage and messaging, and of course all kinds of other things which are outside the realm of home, like computation and smart contract execution on the blockchain. And in general, all kinds of data exchange activities can be incentivized on various levels. And of course, impartiality is also important, future-proof. attribute for basic infrastructure. It means that on the infrastructure level, there should be no preference or partiality expressed in terms of content and values, and there should be complete value neutrality. Now, as I said, data exchange is the key to model and have ways to support economic activity, and more of our daily economic activities are being put on in the digital realm, and more significance is given to data and data even in the areas where ultimately is the substantive realm of the action or economic interaction is not in the digital realm. Talking about, for example, eating a sandwich or driving a truck. And this is kind of this table shows that in general there are two bottlenecks for digitizing or supporting certain economic activities or in certain interactions. So actually, one dimension of the scale is whether it's substantive realm, the interaction is inherently digital or real world. So, for example, finance is the one that is most digital, with numbers, how much you've got in certain currency is completely data is completely covered in the digital realm, and there's not much else needed to do interactions. Just what expressed with data. The second one is media, which only kind of all kinds of media, written media or video or music, which kind of interacts with the real world, or if we are senses and ears and eyes and mouth and nose. And finally, goods and services, which is the mentioned either whole realm of like eating a sandwich, buying bread, which ultimately is enjoyed outside of the digital realm. And on the x-axis, there's another dimension, which is how much or what level of agent interaction is needed for a particular service. So you can see that if there's no or little interaction is needed just between agent and the system, or if it's between agents and or it's a full-blown complex network of interactions which are needed for the service to make sense. And if, as you see, these dimensions map very well to the order of success of certain sectors in their transition to Web3. So the first one was Bitcoin, of course, which is pure banking aspect of finance, where basically you interact with the system and make transactions and send money to another party that is already solved in the first blockchain. And then came the whole DeFi with Uniswap and all the rest services which requires more agent interaction. And finally, full-blown things like exchange or funding platforms, etc., like cooperative financial handling platforms, or even cooperatives, or token economy for that matter. In terms of media, you can also see that, for example, the YouTubes, or blog sites are easy to Web3-fy. There's a bit more involved in doing Google Docs, for example, with collaborative editing, and it's a real challenge to make GitHub. Social interaction is a crucial part of the service. And of course, the same with the services. I just mentioned the lower right corner, which is the ultimate holy grail of everything. It's kind of generally model and incentivize supply chain economies, which is, I think, basically the next big thing in economy, which is related to novel ways of collaboration and cooperation, as well as novel levels of transparency and flexibility in market participation. It's the end of lifelong loyalty to a particular job or job position. It's the end of unwanted monopolies. It's the end of artificially maintained market shares and market captures and etc. So what I here wanted to say is that we can expect the similar transition to Web3 certain areas, depending on some of these dimensions. These two are just examples, and in a way, this is also a kind of not suggested but expected roadmap in terms of our ecosystem development. So if you yourself as a developer wondering what application would be a success, think about these and maybe think about implementing Dropbox before you implement Facebook, and implement Spotify before you implement, like, I don't know, real-time remixing, etc. So to put a bit of context more into the Swarm's actual offering in this regard, I usually talk about the Ethereum legacy, this time very briefly only. So Ethereum vision was from very early on that the public blockchain is only one ingredient of a number of needed tools. Most notably, the founding fathers talked about the holy trinity of the three ingredients needed for any computational system, which is like basically message exchange, data storage, and computation. And these were the holy trinity, and the vision of the world computer, comprising of Swarm as the data layer, Whisper for messaging, and the Ethereum blockchain for the CPU of the world computer. And in this context, I would say that Swarm is bringing exactly those layers that are needed to extend the blockchain into this vision of the world computer, and in this regard, comparable to some other projects and other initiatives existing in the broader Web3 domain, notably Skynet of Sia, Internet Computer of Definity, etc., etc. So no little ambitions here. Swarm wants to underpin the World Wide Web, which is ultimately this expression of the base layer infrastructure for the self-sovereign society. We just call it web after all, and the infrastructure underpinning this web, which we could call the OS operating system, is provided by Swarm for tools and Swarm related developer tooling. Now just quickly go through this idea of open resource. This idea is that it's another example of how cost structure shifting can contribute to more efficient economic activity. So basically, open resource is a kind of fun term invented to be juxtaposed to open source, which is a movement which made software creation much more efficient by leveraging the whole movement community of talented programmers, by letting the code to be changed and modified by people who had genuine interest in providing features or fixing bugs. And it led to a campaign explosion of new products. And in general, open source movement is kind of a major major vehicle and, and open source tools and collaboration environments is pivotal parts of how software is developed these days. And open resource points to the kind of last remaining barrier of full agile cycle application development, namely the fact that even though open source allowed people to change code, most of the time the compiled code had to be deployed in an execution environment, in a VM, in various measures had to be, various conditions had to be in place for it to be run and tested and tried or deployed in production, because it needed all kinds of data center resources and the execution environment in general to be set up. This is costly and usually in the hands of those who operate ultimately the product they from the open source code base. And in Swarm, it's the ultimate goal is to have all the execution environment also expressed in terms of data exchange or the execution environment and so on. So ultimately the same infrastructure is the same basically a tool that holds and keeps and persists the information that the code that runs or underpins an application is serving as the deployment or execution environment for it as well. So and this is a major difference in Swarm's offering. So if someone thinks of Swarm as being a kind of half-dead file storage project, it's quite unambitious and boring to think about it this way. It's in fact a platform that allows for smart and very flexible primitives of data exchange, which are themselves incentivized on the infrastructure level, meaning that they are partially not incentivized by content, but incentivized by byte shifting, and as such, the claim is that representationally, these data exchange primitives can be combined in ways that build up a quite complex potential library of applications and platforms, including licensing, commerce, all kinds of communication platforms, and this to just see that it's not completely pipe dream. One example of this is how, for example, from the communication primitives, you can build up a communication system, like, for example, the Signal protocol, which is de facto industry standard for private one-to-one chat, and all the ingredients can be directly applied in Swarm. In fact, even the data channels can be obfuscated, and therefore there's added privacy. And they for example, the PSS messages, which are kind of zero leak and undetectable messaging primitives, can be combined with feeds, which are kind of full media on immutable storage, mimicking mutable content. So it allows for updated information, sequential updates. For example, it can serve as an outbox channel in the communication setting. And if you combine these two primitives, you can build up a system which has very strong privacy features and has a very strong offering in terms of giving part of the needed infrastructure for private communications. And finally, I'd just like to say that in terms of the incentives, so Swarm storage incentives which are coming in the next milestone batch of releases. Have some very special properties, in the sense that the incentivizing storage does not involve directly contracting with the service provider, but in fact provides a way in which the whole network takes care of automatically assigning service providers to your storage request, and in a way that the system network and the whole collectively decides where the piece of data is stored and how, and the pricing takes care of allowing the uploaders and then storage, like clients for storage, not to have to engage in speculating the future price of storage, and therefore it's kind of the system is inflation and deflation resistant, and also most importantly the way the storage people who want their files stored, the way they contribute to the system is this pool of revenue is distributed fairly among the contributors without them having to register the challenge for any other way, having a higher barrier of entry take part in service provision. So it's a unique offering, and ultimately allow the system to build further more secure file storage in storage insurance and other services on top of it. So this apart from the already much discussed benefits incentives, which are a bit easier to explain and easier to implement, we're gonna come next with storage incentives, in particular positive storage incentives, which is direct distribution of the in-payment revenue. So this is it basically for today. I would like to thank you, and I don't know if there's room for questions. I would like to take a few if there's any. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Victor. It's been a very interesting and informative talk. So yes, it's a lot to unpack, and I think we could actually have a very long discussion about this, because it's many of the topics that you addressed. It's just the beginning of going down the rabbit hole in this sense. So very much like the eyes on the future that you were presenting, and the claim, it's the digital footprint of economic interaction is data exchange. I would say it's a very powerful takeaway, which I would love to hear also more of your thoughts on the supply chain economy. And unfortunately, we are a bit tight on time. We will definitely follow up and also do a recap of your talk. It's also here, when you mentioned the resource fork apps and so on, I would ask the audience to keep a mental note on this. We will return to this later today also, how it looks in practice. I think it's a very, very important concept also, because would you say, Victor, that with applying this resource concept that you've been presenting, it's kind of fast tracking the transition from Web 2 to Web 3?
Yes, I would say so. I mean, this open resource really only makes full sense if we have resource-based execution of code by Swarm clients or proxies. What I'm talking about here is that you actually have an execution environment, some sort of either scripting language or VM running in Swarm, which takes its code input from Swarm stored content. That's when it becomes full circle.
All right. It sounds fascinating, but it's also, it's like they say the devil is in the details. And I mean, it's like when we sometimes, I know, because we live this, we are constantly in this. It feels like things are already around us, but maybe what do you see also as the biggest challenges in the road ahead? What's the difficult part? If I would be looking for the most difficult challenge in Swarm, where would you point me?
This is an interesting question. Maybe the most important challenge is to actually build up the system that can coordinate the ecosystem towards realizing all these potential applications that can be on Swarm. How they interact and how they use, on the one hand, competition to motivate and bring down the price, and on the other hand, coordination and collaboration and the allocation of different tasks to make the ecosystem development more efficient. So it's an interesting problem, because, of course, by virtue of, I mean, we're after all, we're advocating a decentralized platform, so we obviously not on the opinion that it has to be centrally controlled, and how these types of work are organized. But on the other hand, it's a big challenge how to make it decentralized either. So coordination of the ecosystem development is probably the most important change. Or if you want a technical one, that we can talk about it for hours. So maybe I just.
So yes, it's I would agree. It's like there are challenges, but I think we are ready to tackle them, and especially together with the community, with the whole Web3 space. I think there is quite a lot of determination. At the same time, the world at large, I guess, it's again learning a lesson that centralization is not really a good thing given what's happening in the world. And maybe with this, I would also repeat one of your statements during the talk, and thank you also for your participation. And it's like it really stuck when you said, Victor, waging war is so last century, and yeah, this is definitely something I would say everybody here agrees. Continuing, moving forward, thank you again, Victor, I would like to invite Antonia, my co-host for today. Hi, Antonia.
Hello there.
And I hear you are bringing interesting updates. It's like the 3-letter word updates, but the nice 3 letters.
Yes, we're talking about, hold on a second, 3 letters. Yeah, exactly. So for everyone, and this is good because, we want to see how people are awake and are listening to us, because now we're going to give updates about the tokens. Yes, I'm going to give updates about that, because there's been a lot of people asking questions in Discord. Where are my things? Where are my things? Okay, don't worry. All the NFTs have been airdropped today. Okay, so they may be sitting on your wallet. You need to check it out, of course, in Polygon Explorer. You cannot do it in Etherscan. The good thing is that you don't need those tokens to watch and hear all the events. So you can participate. You can just go to the website and have a look for them. However, the NFT unlocks gated channels of Discord where you can participate, you can give your opinions, you can ask for help over there. And also it enters, it makes you, you can enter with that on the Resistance platform. That serves the purpose of getting points. And you will earn points by attending events, by being active basically on all this, on all the thing that's going on. And your NFT will grow. Actually, if you want to see the image, the NFTs are not invisible. If you go now to OpenSea and to try to check them out, you will see that there's no image, but there is an image. Don't worry, there is the, if you want to see it, I can share my screen so you can see mine. Look at that. This is,
Antonio, my screen is cooler than yours.
No, this is pretty cool, actually.
No, my screen is cooler. Can I share it?
No, I bet it's not.
You will see. I mean, I'm also using the dark theme. It's not because I would brag with another team, but
shit is cooler.
But look at this. How many skill points have you got?
No.
How many reputation
points? Let's not go
yes,
into that.
Yes. So it's like here, right now already you can claim experience. Everybody who are participating, it's a 1 hour window, I think. Depends on our benevolent NFT gods. It's an unpredictable thing, but experience for today can be claimed.
Yay. So that's the thing. It will happen during the event. So for instance, if you missed the window to apply for NFTs, now if you check out the website, you can still participate and claim for new ones. Maybe, where's my NFT? I did everything and I haven't been airdrop anything. Well, now you have another chance. The more love that you give us, tweeting and stuff, it would be better. So that's it. That's the window.
Still, one thing we do need to mention here. Let's not forget, and we will probably mention it over and over again. Resistance game is highly experimental. So it's our hack experiment of the hackathon. So please also treat it like this. The NFTs if you expect just a regular NFT with the image, well, as Antonio just said it, that ain't gonna happen, at least not until the end of the hackathon. Let's put it this way and have like a little bit of teaser component in it.
Yay. Yeah, so it's gonna happen. But yeah, it's wait and see. It's a playful thing. It's cool. All right, let's move on.
Let's do.
Okay, so yeah, we have a lot of things to unpack today because we are speaking about tooling. We need to speak about tools. Tools
to empower digital freedom.
Yeah. Actually, the tools are really a cool thing because the tools allow you to. I mean, I always see tools as a way to give me superpowers. For if I have a hammer. I mean, it may be it's a very common thing, but for a nail, that's a superpower. I cannot do it with my bare hands. And those tools that we are talking here about are talking to create to enable freedom, digital freedom, which is super cool. I mean, it's what kind of tools will be there to create that freedom? Well, the first one, if you ask me, I would say that the first one is about. But a problem that crypto has, the whole ecosystem, which is the crypto itself, it's a back-end revolution, right? But we need to close the stack. If we are really to create something that it cannot be stopped, that can resist censorship, we need to close the stack. And to do that, we need the front end covered as well. So the next speaker, and I think they should be around, is Attila, which is he is the tech lead of the JavaScript team at Swarm. He's been waiting for so long. And
yes, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
We can hear you, Attila. We can hear you, but we cannot see you.
Yeah, I cannot start the video because the host has stopped it. Maybe you can help me.
All right. Ooh, that's beyond my superpowers.
Also beyond mine. So.
Shall I reload the page, or maybe I can present because I have a presentation, and then maybe I can share my.
Yes, the technical team on the Swarm side. Can you sort out Attila with permissions to share screen?
Now there's somebody, I can hear somebody running through corridors.
Yes, yes, I know they are working on it. See, awesome, Attila. We can see your slides. The stage is yours. So looks like the situation reversed a little bit. We have the picture, but we don't have the sound. Attila, can you hear us? Attila, mic check, 1, 2. We can see you. We cannot hear you. No.
Yeah. Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. So the flow. Oh, but we don't have the slides anymore.
All right, let me try that. So it's here.
I told you guys that we should have gone to something more battle tested than Zoom.
Yes. Last step, Attila, just please unmute yourself and then we're good to go.
No luck.
Antonio, how does it sound how does one say in Spanish? No sound.
Hold on a second, I forgot. No digo nada. I cannot hear anything.
I knew it's going to sound cool.
Well.
Okay, we have another go. Persistence is key. So, and we don't give up. Okay, yes, better, much better slide tab than the previous one. No, not this one, back to previous one.
Maybe what we can do while Attila fixes it, we arrange this thing, we can go into to speak about money. Well, not money, about tokens. What do you think, Gregor?
Let's do. What did you want to say about tokens?
I want to say that there's a bunch of bounties in Gitcoin, and maybe we can create. And I have figured out a way to create something to claim for 4 of them, but I'm not gonna.
So basically, you're asking yourself, yeah, like you should, like how to hack the bounties.
Yeah.
Why do 1 bounty if you can do 4?
Exactly.
That sounds like a sweet deal. So maybe first here we post just in case for those who don't know the link to the bounties on the hackathon. And Attila, we still don't hear you. So no, I see the lips moving, but it's not. We are confident that Attila will come back. In the meantime, we continue on the program. So the bounties, what did you say? 4 bounties for the price of 1. I mean, no, 1 bounty for the price of 4. That's how it should be. So yes, that's this idea, you know, if you create a censorship resistant block on Swarm, then you actually can participate in 4 bounties at the same time. And we planned we can reveal those 4 bounties after maybe Attila's talk. Attila, does the sound now work?
No work.
No. Nichts, nada. Okay. So let's continue with the bounties. Antonio, do you have maybe the links ready, or let me see?
Yeah,
yeah.
I can do this. Pick back.
So here's an example, and this is what also Attila is going to present. The first bounty, building decentralized front end on BZZ Link. It's a really good experience, and when I did it, it was kind of like reliving the experience of when I set up the first time a website and linked it to the domain name. This time I created one that cannot be censored, and it was really good experience. Attila will tell more about this, so maybe we can have a look at some other highlighted bounties for the day. Best DApp using Swarm decentralized storage. And here comes the hacking into play, because a block is also a DApp in a way. So it passes. Oh, now if we add digital freedom into the block content, here we have like the third bounty that can be applied to with just one project. That's like really proper bounty hacking. And this, just for the record, it wasn't by design. We just figured out earlier today. And of course, if you create decentralized censorship resistant block on Swarm, well, we would be really happy if that block is also the most insightful. And it's in a way also call to action. We already put it out yesterday. What can we do? It's the longer also this unbearable situation lasts, the more important will be free press. The more important will be basically truthful data. We need to enable systems for the truth to have the same chance as fake news, essentially. Mm-hmm. So that's how we hack the bounties. Now, maybe Antonio, can I ask you to enter the last one address, and I will just dictate it to you.
Sure.
It's fairdatasociety.bzz.link.
And it's always funny when I'm typing things because I'm always scared.
Yes. So it's always a little bit, the seconds when you're live on video take longer than in real life. And I think also the internet connection slow down.
Yes.
This is kind of the feature of Zoom. I think, you need to top up your account for the network connection to work. So what we see here, we see a block that is served directly from Swarm, that it's where the Swarm feed is linked to an ENS name. And by linking it to an ENS name, in this case to fairdatasociety.it, it's automatically available over BZZ link. I hope this is not a spoiler, Attila. Are we now back on track with the sound?
No. I cannot hear anything.
No. Let's maybe with BZZ link, we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right.
Welcome back, brother in arms. Good.
Yes, thanks. So maybe can you show my presentation? Maybe like whoever controls the. Yes, thank you. So yes, actually, I wanted to talk about this as well as part of my presentation, how you can have your own website hosted on Swarm, served by BZZ link, and have an ENS name. So let's start. So I would like to talk a bit about like how the team reached to this point. So when we set this goal for ourselves to host unstoppable content on Swarm, we defined this as the first milestone on our roadmap. And basically what we wanted to achieve is that uploading and downloading websites, NFT data, and web assets are optimized and reliable. And this functionality can be accessed through all the Swarm products. And the Swarm products here means the B itself, the gateway, the Swarm CLI, your Chrome extension, your dashboard, And we have like tooling, like JavaScript libraries that you can use to do this on Swarm. And so, yes, yeah, can we move on, please? Thank you. And in order to reach this, first of all, we had to work on reliability. So like to improve, before that, we had this functionality in Swarm, but it wasn't 100% reliable. So in order, like, for example, if you entered this fair data society.bz.link, then it was a high chance that it doesn't load, and then it's not a great experience. So first of all, we had to fix that. Then we needed to add this kind of service that you can use ENS names easily. And I will talk about the challenges there and the potential solution that we came up with. The third thing that we had to solve was the management of postage stamps. So postage stamps were introduced by the time when Swarm went mainnet, like last June. And it's a good solution to stop spam on the network. But like it's also a bit difficult to use. So I will talk a bit about like the difficulties and how to use it, and also how what tools we built in order to be able to use it. And then lastly, I would talk about this feature called feeds of Swarm, which is a very interesting feature because it allows you to make updates on a fixed address, and by that enabling updates without having you to update your ENS name, which can be expensive. So let's move on to the first topic, which is reliability. So basically, we set out this goal that we would like to fix the reliability of like small websites and assets and NFTs on Swarm, and we set up a lot of measurements, and we did a lot of work. And I wanted to call out this because this work usually like happens in the background and it's not very glamorous itself, but like this is very important, and the team did a great job to achieve this milestone. And right now the experience is that it mostly works, and then when it's not working, then you retry and then it's working. So it's like with other websites. And so I think this is great, and I'm quite happy that we achieved this. So yeah, I just wanted to mention this because yeah, it's like to give support the team that worked very hard to achieve this milestone. And then to move on, that this made possible is a new kind of feature which we call this BZZ link. So if you, this is a new website, a new gateway, so to speak, and then basically with this service, you can access your content from a web browser, and it accesses the content on the Swarm network. So basically, it's like a gateway in a sense that bridges the traditional internet with a traditional browser. You don't even need a browser extension to access this service because this is a traditional service. On the other hand, it, like when you try to access content with a BZZ link, then what happens in the background is that basically Swarm fetches the pieces of your websites from all over the globe and then reassembles it and presents it to you. And can we move on to the next slide, please? Yes, so one problem we try to solve with BZZ Link is that we envision that in the future, there will be a native way of accessing content over Swarm by using the BZZ protocol. And then the BZZ protocol would be as easy to use as you can see it on the left side. So you say BZZ : / and then your ETH name and or BZZ : / your content hash, and then you would be able to access the content on the network. However, like how we did before was a bit difficult because, sorry, because the problem with that was that we used a gateway which used a relative path to access your content. So for example, in the first case, sorry, in the first case, the the request was transferred to a path, but like /bzz/swarm.eth. On the other case, like /bzz/hash. And the problem with this is that the browser security relies on the domain name to be different for different websites. And with this model, the problem would be that like the security of the domain would be always gateway.etswarm.org, and this is not something you want. The other problem with this is that some websites assume that they are on the absolute path. So for example, if you want to access the assets, you would access the assets on /assets, whatever, and that would not work. So please move on to the next slide. And yeah, this is what I try to explain. So like domain-based security. Next slide, please. And the same origin policy. So this is a technical problem that we wanted to overcome with this BZZ link. So the next slide, please. Yeah, and so yeah, this is the illustration for the problem. Like in this case, for example, the malicious.eth website would be able to access all the local storage and the cookies and session storage database and cache of the example website, and this is not good. So for this, we came up with a model that that is used in other decentralized services, basically to use a subdomain for this kind of content. Please move to the next slide. And yeah, so with BZZ link, basically the BZZ://swarm.eth address becomes https://swarm.bzz.link. So if you register a name in ENS that is an ETH name, that automatically can be used with the BZZ link website if you upload your content to Swarm and then put the correct reference in the ENS. And then there is another problem with the content hashes, is that the content hashes cannot be directly used as subdomain names, because our content hashes are 32 bytes long, but in hex strings they are 64 characters long, and subdomains can be only up to 36 characters long. So for that we used something called the CID, and that's a kind of an encoding of the content reference that we can use as subdomains. Please move on to the next slide. So yeah, this is the CID that I'm talking about. And if you move on to the next slide, please, then I can explain, like, this is a standard that's coming from IPFS, and this is also a thing that is adopted by like other projects like CS-Skynet. However, I would like to point out an important difference between Swarm and IPFS in this regard, and this regard of permissionless publishing. So when you upload something on IPFS, basically you need an IPFS host, an IPFS node that stores the content and makes it available for other nodes on the network. However, with Swarm, this is a bit different, because with Swarm, what happens is that when you upload your website or like your content on Swarm, then your content gets split into small pieces, like 4K chunks of data, and then these 4K chunks are sent over the network to all the nodes that are participating in the network, and they are storing your content. So for example, with IPFS, the problem is that if you have an IPFS node and you host your own blog on that, but that goes down, then your content becomes unavailable. Whereas with Swarm, you don't need to host your own content. You can just upload to the network, and then the network will take care of your content, so you can turn off your machine after your content is synced to the network. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Another thing that we worked on was like postage stamps. So postage stamps are a bit difficult to understand because like it has two dimensions. So one is called depth and the other is called amount. And basically depth can be think of like capacity, like number of bytes to be stored, and the amount dimension can be thought of as time parameter. So like how long the data is to be kept on the network. And basically when Swarm sees like each chunk has to be stamped with a postage stamp, and then when Swarm sees a chunk on the network, then it will check its postage stamp. And when it runs its garbage collection algorithm, when it runs out of capacity, each node, then they just check each chunk's postage stamps, and they will throw out those ones that are either expired or have lower amounts. So this gives a quite good signal to Swarm what to keep. But this itself is not a full storage incentive mechanism. So that is coming in the third milestone that is due this summer, maybe this year. So, but this provides currently a good enough solution for people to be able to upload and store content on Swarm. And I will also talk about a bit like how we improve the usability of this, because like calculating all this is not trivial. And then if you have to do this all the time and you want to upload something, that's also something that's, yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. But that can be, this situation can be very much improved with tooling. And this is what we set out to do. Next slide, please. Yes, and then one more thing I wanted to talk about is feeds. So like publishing on a decentralized network without feeds would look like that you upload data. In the case of Swarm, you have to use your postage stamps. And then once you have it, you get a reference. And then because of the references point to immutable data, that means every time you update your website, every time you have a new reference, and then every time you changed your website, basically every time you have to update your ENS record, and that can be expensive. And in order to alleviate this problem, we came up with this solution called feeds. Next slide, please. And so with feeds, you just have to create a feed once. It will create a single address that doesn't change, but you can change where it points to. And then you use this feed address to update your ENS record, and you only have to do this once. And then the next time you update your website, you upload the content with a postage stamp, you get back the reference, and then you update the feed instead of ENS so that it costs less. So like in our experience, these feeds work well if you don't do too many updates. So like in a case of like 1 to 200. And then after that, you may have to update your feed, your ENS name again, but then still it improves the situation so that you don't have to update ENS every time. And we are also working on alternative solutions of feeds that can be applied in different use cases. And in some cases, it has like other advantages, but also on the price of that is that they have sometimes other disadvantages. But so in the future, we plan to provide more type of feeds, but at the moment, these work quite well for updating websites, which was the goal for this milestone. And let's move on to the next slide, please. And yeah, so I wanted to talk about like all of these Swarm products that we provide and what you can do, how you can do like permissionless publishing with them. So for example, we have this gateway website where you can go, it's gateway.eatswarm.org. You can go there, you can try out Swarm for free. You can upload up to 10 megabyte files. And with that, you can, basically it's a free trial. And also it's, you don't have to buy anything in order to use that. So it uses the gateway's postage stamps that are provided by the Swarm Foundation for free trial purposes. So that's the easiest way to try out, but obviously you don't have too much control over what you can do. So for example, you cannot update feeds currently, and also you cannot use your own post-it stamps. So if you want to do that, we have another product which is called the B dashboard, and the B dashboard is a web UI to use your B API. So if you are running your own B node, then you can connect to it with B dashboard, and then you can manage your post-it stamps, and then you can manage also your feeds, and then you can also upload your websites, of course, and then you have all the functionality that I was talking about that you can host in order to host your website. So I think that's the easiest way to do it and gives you the most control. But yeah, this requires you to install your own B node. And then we have the Swarm extension. It's an experimental version at the moment, but it works well with the dashboard, and it actually has a dashboard bundled with it. So if you install this, currently it's a Chrome extension, and you can install it from the Chrome App Store, and then once you installed it, then you have a button to open a dashboard, and then you have also access to the dashboard functionality, and this also assumes that you are running your own B node. Then we have a CLI tool, and also this provides you pretty much the full functionality of your B node from a CLI tool, and this can be also used for automation projects. So for example, we have we have these GitHub actions integrated with this that we used in the past, which we use, for example, like every time we create a new PR for the gateway or the dashboard products, it automatically creates a new BZZ link that you can just click on it, and then you can try the current version, like if the future versions which haven't been merged to master. So that really helps us developing quickly, and yeah, it's very magical actually. And also we have these JavaScript libraries like BJS, Manifest.js, Monterey.js, and Swarm CID.js to help you working with concepts and maybe low-level aspects of Swarm. So this gives very high control, but obviously you need to know some JavaScript and coding in order to be able to use it. So let's move on to the next slide, please. And yes, before we conclude, I wanted to also talk a bit about what you can expect, what is coming up. So currently, this is what we are working on, is the second milestone, is that setting up and interacting with a B node is optimized for ease of use. So as I mentioned, like most of these things that give you full control over your websites on Swarm requires you to have your own B node. And we got the feedback that it's a bit difficult to set up your own B node, and some of the things are not well documented, some of the things are confusing. So, so we set out to fix this, but also we set out to create a version that allows like developers and also crypto enthusiasts to be able to run their own node easily. And please go to the next slide. And so currently there are like two things we are doing in order to achieve this. So first of all, we want to make sure that everyone can run their own gateways. And in order to do that, we have a project called the Gateway UI, which is basically the same UI that you can visit at the gateway.eatswarm.org, and then you can customize it to your needs. So this is all, obviously everything that we do is open source, and you will be able to use that as well. Then we have another project called the Gateway Proxy, and the Gateway Proxy is a service behind the bzz.link. So it gives you this subdomain support, but it also does other things. For example, automatic post-it stamp management. So we built this gateway website, and we made the post-it stamp management automatic on that, so that it's easy to use, and it's makes the developer experience great. But on the other hand, we also realized that like this put some burden on our infra team. So like they had to monitor the postage stamp usage and the expiry dates, and then when they were about to expire, they had to buy new ones. And then that was like when you manage a bigger number of gateway services, then this started to be a lot of manual work. And so we automated this process, and we deployed it this week to production, and this is what we plan to also release as a package. And also we will document like how you can use the public API service. So this public API service that Swarm Foundation provides is a limited service. So we added rate limiting on this. We have file size limits and things like this on it because we don't want people to abuse our service. However, we will make sure that with the documentation that this will be easy for everyone to replicate for themselves. So if you want to have your own, build your own service, and you want to have your own like developer stack and want to share it with your users, then you will be able to do this easily. And this is coming soon, like this part of the second milestone. Like as I said, we mostly released it to production, so the next step is to add the documentation and release it to public. Another thing that we are working on is called Swarm Desktop. So this is a desktop app where you can install Swarm on your machine, and it will install a Lite node, which provides you functionality so that you can upload and download from the network. You can buy postage stamps and manage your own postage stamps with this. And the Lite node is a node that does not store other people's data on the network and does not participate in the forwarding of chunks. So it's a simplified version. You can even run it on your laptop machine because it won't use resources if you don't request data from it. So it's a lightweight experience, but still you can have the full B experience with this as a user. And then the third thing we are doing all the while with this is that while we making sure that this whole thing is so easy that everyone can install it, by that we simplify the system in points there where like full node operators life will be also much easier, because just by simplifying these things, this is an automatic outcome, and we will have better documentation soon. So this is the focus of the second milestone that we currently work on. And I think that's it. If you move to the next slide. Yes, this is that concludes my presentation. So thank you. And if you have questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Attila. It's been, yeah, you know, like one thing that resonated with me, you said like magical, and yeah, for me, a lot of these things that you, a lot of the things that you presented today kind of felt magical. At the beginning of the event, I already said, I really, you know, it's like, I do believe that at least once in life, one needs to link a Swarm hash to an ENS domain to experience BZZ link. It's like this cathartic moment of a developer, you know. So, it's also the Swarm CLI. It's I find it really a joy to use. It even has now, because of it, I even started to do a little bit of bash scripting. So it's very easy. You just do a for loop. You run Swarm CLI in quiet mode, and you know, you just upload all pictures for an NFT collection in one go. And if you enable also the sync mode, it checks if the file is distributed. So yeah, I liked it a lot. Thank you very much for this.
I'm happy to hear this.
Yes. So it's definitely also, we are all looking forward to the next releases. You know, the colors there in the charts for the desktop app, they they do a very good job of teasing the app, I must admit. Don't they, Antonia?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you know what I wonder is here actually, if I run the desktop app in the future, will this mean that, for example, Antonio just shares with me a Swarm hash and I can put it in the desktop app and it downloads that content locally on my computer?
Exactly. Yes, that's the goal.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
looking forward.
Pretty cool.
Yes. So, and you know, it's actually like here when we speak about sharing files, and Attila, please stay on. It's like let's just continue with the discussion. It's kind of one thing that we also want to present here today is an app, a DApp called Fairdrop. It's also about sharing files. It's today before the event, I was like thinking how to announce it, and it's just like popped into my head the phrase "oldie but goldie," you know, because Fairdrop was the first experimental app already back in, I think it was announced in 2018 at ECC. Now we have it also running in a test mode on the new network. So let's see. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yes, Antonio, I'm still bragging about the points. That's why I started on the resistance, you know.
Yeah.
Because I claimed experience, and the window to claim experience is closing. So this is
No,
also
don't tell
called
me
to
that.
others. Yes.
I'm
But
swapping tokens for that. That's
yeah,
okay.
but yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, probably nothing. So here we see Fairdrop. The design is known for those who are following Swarm for a while. Now, I must say here, we are kind of, you know, really playing with the demo gods right now, because this version that is loaded here now, it's been uploaded 1 hour ago, and it has never been tested. Because I mean, it has been tested in the dev mode, but this deployment has not been tested. So what could go wrong? And just for the demo purposes, I will create a new mailbox. Let's call it Veritas. And I will give like relatively short password. Do not copy this at home. And it's that easy to create it. Why I'm showing also this while the account is being created, it's we are going to try to do a demo of how somebody who has a Fairdrop account can already experiment today, also very easy, by setting on personal whistleblower platform. And in empowering digital freedom, this is also quite important. Now, at the same time, we do see the seconds of a day when doing a demo, they run slower, so the account is still being created. And maybe, Antonio, this would be a good moment also to comment a bit on it.
I think that this is really, you know, in the times that we're living, this makes a more, it's getting more and more relevant. The whistleblowing thing, that sounds like a very like a thing that it's not relevant, where we are seeing that we cannot trust the news anymore. You know, we have reached a moment in the history that no matter where you see that the news are curated, are biased, and you have to make your own opinion. You have to create your own story. And in order to do that, you need tools to empower this communication, such as the ones that Attila showed. And this communication needs to come from sources and from people who are have guarantees that they will not be tracked down, that they will not be followed. And this is exactly what, well, I would say this is the idea of Fairdrop, to create this communication and to make the guy who speaks and who records a video or who writes a post secure and private. And this couldn't be done before. I think that this is pretty cool, pretty important.
Yes, couldn't agree more. So the account creation looks like it's taking some time. It's maybe I've been tempting fate too much. And in this regard, let's maybe see what's else in the store for today. What do we have more to show? Next one, Fair Data Protocol. So Victor, are you also here? Oh, and now Attila left. Welcome here, Victor.
Hello everyone.
I would suggest while account is being created on the FairDrop side and the gas is being gifted, it's actually the Fair Data Protocol that you're going to speak about, Victor, is also something that FairDrop one day needs to be upgraded with, and actually also should make it easier than this. It's like people won't be needing to create every time a new account, right?
Yeah, you're getting right. I'm going to talk about it as well, and it has other concepts also. I just grab your screen if you let me.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Antonia, I see it in your eyes. I see it. The account is still being created. I know. We are not going to just shy away from it. We return with an update on that after Victor's talk. So, Victor, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. So I'm Victor Todt, as I announced, and you can find me with nickname Nugon on the GitHub. And I would like to introduce you the Fair Data Protocol. Fair Data Protocol is a project under Fair Data Society, and it provides an ecosystem. It provides an environment and a framework for web developers mostly. And I would like to talk about a bit about the mission. Creating a window into the underlying Web3 file system and having a Web3 storage for dApps to connect to and use. These two imply already the web developer and the end user perspective of that, and organize personal data and allow for access and cross access to it. It means like have the personal data will be handled, and how the dApps can interact with it. So it needs a data structure within this, if I can say, user storage namespace of the Web3. And last but not least, the data, transform data into information. So the data is handled in a really good manner on Ethereum Swarm. As far as you know, the chunk are distributed in the whole network and stuff. But we also need some consensus how to create this data. So we have a word. We have this word computer concept, and it has this storage, and dApps could use each other's data if there is a common interface and the consensus about this structure, and this is all about it. With this, if we can achieve, and we will, there is going to be it will be more beneficial to create a Web3 application than a Web2 application, because you start with a huge amount of data, with a huge amount of resources, and interconnected network basically. So we have milestones to achieve these goals. The first 5 is aiming at creating full-fledged Web3 ecosystem based on Ethereum Swarm, and the last one is that integrate its solutions to other projects, basically, like databases or other peer-to-peer storage systems also. So take a look into the first milestone is the reviews with protocolization. We have, I mean, the Fair Data Society has a P client-like component called Fair OS that creates upper layer and the required upper layer for this Web3 architecture that handles basically user wallets, and from user wallets it kind of pointing to ports. This is called like ports currently. That is a file descriptor data structure, if I can say, that you in your file manager you see the folders. It's really similar to that. And how you can fetch ports? You can fetch through feeds. As far as I know, the Fair OS uses now the epoch-based implementation of feeds. And it has topic conventions how to retrieve the ports from the user wallet that it handles. And but we also would like other type of data structures, not only the ports, and but the pod itself will have different versions. So now it serializes in not in the best way. I mean, if we say I would like to have I would like to perform inclusion proof, BMT inclusion proof of the data. I cannot do that currently. But we can create a version of the pods which has this capability, and we have ideas about that. But we also need a versioning frame for all of these data structures to distinct. To make a distinction between these different data structures, like ports or even JSON serializations, because as far as you know, I mean, you may know, like the JSON objects most of the time serialized in a stringified format, and it just happens that this is it doesn't have any canonical order, or the properties doesn't have any order, and thereby the data structure itself doesn't have random access. So thereby you cannot do any kind of inclusion proof, which is really important to perform crypto algorithms on it. That every milestone has a product section, as you can see here. So from this milestone, it will follow these proposals for data structures, like this JSON serialization. We also dealing with it now, and the preprocessor library that basically hides this versioning frame. So we don't want to just rely on the addressing schemas. Like not only the CIDs are really good, but still, if you have many versions and the same structure, but you want to interpret differently. And you know, you can fetch without any kind of CID the content itself. It's good to have a frame for data structures, and that's gonna be the preprocessor library that will handle it for you. And in memory, it gives you functions and methods like how to mutate this data. And the last but not least, the FD feeds library that implements the feed conventions, as I mentioned, like how to fetch the ports under a user wallet, and basically this is the base of the user storage namespace. And we enter to the blockchain area, where we have this smart contract definitions and ideas. Like the smart contract is really good for a registry in this architecture. Like I don't want to store anything, basically just really the required information, have to retrieve something. And I want to store depths, users, and even blow interfaces like data structures, basically, on blockchain with the corresponding metadata. So you can imagine like the user registration in the first round is the username public key mapping that is required for example, Diffie-Hellman key exchange. And at the depth store is also on blockchain can be placed only metadata that regarding to feeds, for example, have to retrieve the most recent state of an application, like its front end or its database or whatsoever. And regarding to that, there are the feed types that we also have some cool new ideas how to create feeds. And for example, the depth saying I work as like a service. I give an update in every day, and this is my registration time. And from this little amount of information, you can calculate with ortho one. So with the most quickest retrievable algorithm, you can retrieve the most recent state of the depth. And it also handles and corrects the inaccuracies of the stream. You can one of these concepts you can read about in these sweeps. Currently, it is the title of fault-tolerant feed streams. It's a mixture of the sequential feed and the periodic feeds. So, but moving on, the blob interface DB is that so there are basically two types of data, and that I mean data structures. If I can say the official ones that provide this more general like structures like bots, and we of course we ship that along with that all of the necessary I don't know utility functions, libraries and stuff. But we also make place for without any kind of improvement proposal, you can register your own data structure that others can use. In of course with some kind of frame that I mentioned in the previous slide, and the others can use the data structure and you will know immediately what other applications you are compatible with. And the products here, of course, the smart contract interfaces and definitions, and have to use this registry. And also we are planning a CLI to register these these data structures and users and depths, so the actors basically. And it will use this CLI framework, which is really cool, as you heard. And I mean, this from CLI itself. So the authentication part is a crucial component. We totally revision this part. So you may know this front and back end architecture. So overall, it doesn't really work on Web3. So the Web3 is domainless. So the subdomain trick is really good for some situations, but in a long term, you don't want domains. So the domains are basically backed to some server or server clusters or whatever. But so it also has other problems, like all of the user data is on the backend side. It handles the sessions and stuff, and in our case, it can be the P client, if I can say. So here in this figure here we can place the P client, and here are your depths. And yeah, so if I use, for example, a restricted API of P, which is really understandable, then I have to provide this session keys, if I can say, the API keys to the client side, and the client side have to implement like the input field or whatever to just place your token, and it has to initialize just after then the BGS object, and for everyone is just suffering. So so that's why we came up with the Web3 architecture, if I can say. It is that the browser is the new backend, basically. So the browser also can have APIs like a normal backend, but this is called fake APIs in this concept, because there is no real server behind it. So it's just the browser. So for example, swarm.fake URL.localhost. This is a fake URL. Of course, it doesn't lead anywhere, but the browser will know where to redirect this request. And of course, it's gonna redirect to that server that you want. So for example, your B client, that the browser will handle, and that only the browser will know and hide the information, for example, the API keys to successfully perform any action on the B client. So you don't expose any data, any security configuration to the dApp, and the dApp also doesn't have to handle this, which is also great. So this how it can happen, like in this Web3 browsers that we have, there is this extension applications that we can use to alter the default behavior of the browser, and create basically a proxy towards the B, and other additional logic as well. So for example, this single sign-on, if you think about that, I just log in once to my browser, and the applications can, call it its APIs, and it's you can imagine like similar like MetaMask does currently. Then create workflow login. You don't want to tie yourself to one B client, one Fair OS server, or whatever. You want to have that if you move even from your laptop, you can log into your account, and you can continue your session. And for that, you can even you have this main user wallet, and you can encrypt it with a passphrase, and you can upload to Swarm and retrieve it later in another browser. Of course, it's optional, but it's a really good feature, I guess. And also so one more thing about this Web2 architecture problem is that if you change your B client, for example, then you will lose all of your sessions under the dApp. So the dApp has this local storage, session storage, and it's domain-based in the Web2 browsers. And even if you have this subdomain mapping, you still will lose because it will be tied to this main domain address, like, I don't know, localhost 1633. But with this Web3 architecture, which is not domain-based, you can say the base of the security context is the a content hash, for example, or a feed hash. All right, so this extension will know how to handle and manage these pods, and also it has, of course, based on an authentication library, that the trusted source is, of course, the user agent is a trusted source, and also if you install a CLI on your machine that can already reach wallets, it's also seems a trusted source. So for those applications, there is an authentication library. This browser extension that we start is that we call it Blossom. It's close to this B namings and stuff. And And that CLI application that I mentioned already will be extended this the full management of your wallet, like now in Ferrous, but also can communicate with the blockchain. So move on to the authorization, the data sharing can happen between user and app, of course, and so the ACIs that the Bugos form also define, details the access control list is can be really handy for this topic. One thing is that most of the time you don't want to share only one encrypted file, you want to share one encrypted stream, and of course you time to time you want to change who can read it, and thereby you change the encryption key, and the dApps have to handle this. And for that we also plan an interface, and of course this personal storage is really fragile thing in security perspective. We want to have a great secure workflow, have to share data with dApps. And how can we achieve that? Through the injected library, for example, but of course we can also have this kind of message channels open as well, if the injected library won't be a case, but that will be definitely interface, have to interact and use these properties. And the authorization library itself have to add, remove participants to your data who can read and stuff. And my favorite topic is the Web3 services with data economics. So at this point, we have data structures that can be cryptographically proven, like it corresponds to some data and logic with this PMT inclusion proofing, for example. And this I call Web3 peer-to-peer services. And it's can be backed by this swarm cell and single smart contract definitions, but also really similar to this rollups or even Plasma. So we'll detail it later. But what you can do with it, I know the majority of the audience here, I guess, don't want cell data, but if you ask anyone, I don't know, so not average, so most of the people, like, I get back the answer like, okay, I don't care, I don't care my data is used. But if you see a price tag on that later, you will recognize you should evaluate this. And there should be, I think, feature for that. But this data is unpersonalized because all of the identities and all of the data that is connected can be connected with each other in your user store space is only known by you. So you can handle many different users or keys, if we can say that. And I don't know, one keep one key, for example, for the public face of you, and other is for entertainment and so on. And this case will have its own storage space, if I can say. And have to achieve that, even if I have data in a structure that the dApps needs, it can be still a junk, and I can assure my service about the data by reading these proof of information certifications. Like the dApps can sign the content addresses of the username within the user namespace and tell about that, okay, this is indeed in the structure and it's still valuable data, even if it's encrypted. And the user can download this certificate from the dApp and thereby raise its value, raise their data's value. Given an example, like let's say there is a governmental institution and saying like, okay, if you bring in your identification card and your whatever public key, I will give a certification about that. And of course, the public key, under the public key, there should be a data that you typed in, like what is your name, what is your birth date, and so on. And we will sign it for you, and you can show it for every dApp. Or even a closer example, like there is a huge issue with the information trust and the credibility, and that also can be used for any news dApp or research based organizations can use this method. And eventually, of course, with these certifications, the data price will go up, and the user even can resell their own data. So the product here is the backend service framework. Have to create a cryptographically proven peer-to-peer backend service, which can be trusted, and these smart contracts have to stake tokens for that. What is the fraud proofs mechanism in this and stuff? The sign-based data market protocol that I just mentioned, and the interface to this data market. So these are the products. Okay, and one last one, I promise, is the interoperability with integrations. We can ship, of course, higher level primitives, but the best if we have this interoperability with other storages, and of course mainly more important that this databases itself, like MongoDB or else, that could have a really convenient interface to connect to. But it's more interesting, I guess. I think that we need eventually is a Web3 browser like Purity, which in the first hand can, with these Web3 services and this whole architecture, if we have it ready, give you a fully fledged light client service. So not that kind of light client that keeps the peer-to-peer connections all the time. That kind of light client which can be used with mobile phone even. And of course, the Ferros has this block type abstractions and else, but about that later, I guess, because we run out of the time. I mean, just one more word about the improvement proposals. We are millions, so you can give your idea regarding to this whole concept, your data structures that you want to use for messaging, for example, or else. You can create an improvement proposal, and we I mean the economists will overview it and apply it. We have a whole workflow how to do that. You can see the tips at the end of the presentation, And from improvement proposals, binaries, and smart contracts interfaces to fall out. And you can see the list here. Here is the link. You can scan it. It's just a roadmap of this concept that I just told you, but leads you to this improvement proposal repository that you can also issue your own idea. And that's it. I could show you some progress, but I think we are way out of the time, and also can have place for questions.
Thank you very much, Victor. I saw that our community support team was basically telling everybody if there are any questions, they should just come to Discord and ask there, and we can have like there all the time in basically answering and discussing it.
Okay.
This is very cool, Antonio. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So it's it's like fair data protocol. It's something I think that can really be one of the crucial parts in making data interoperability happen. There is no data sovereignty without data interoperability, and if we don't look how we can build solutions that support data interoperability, we are kind of just repeating the old problems, So then Web3 would just be again Web2, but in a nicer, more fancier dress, but nothing will change. So it's also, it's like kind of fair data protocol. I think it's speaking also a lot about the need and power of collaboration, because when you speak about data interoperability, it's like by default it's not happening with a single person or project. It's like you need at least two to tango in data interoperability. So it's about collaboration. It's something, it's really important, and I'm really happy that Swarm is championing this and started this, that we start projects that are outside of the scope of individual projects, that how we as a community, as the Web3 community, can connect and need to connect, and together the paradigm shift happens. So
Interoperability is so important. It's well, basically I was working in IoT and Internet of Things for a long time, and the main problem, and nobody answered that, was how to make things interoperable. Because you can have a washing machine that speaks to the world, but how to make that data interoperable, that's a key thing to actually create Internet of Things. So this thing, it's not only for a couple of geeks that share data sets. It's more than that. It's creating the composability that DeFi has and putting it into every other app. Is that relevant, the interoperability? So it's just and it can only happen in the open source space. It will not happen with any other a big company, and we all know the names, trying to push for a solution, for a standard, because they will have some part of the cake. So it has to come from open source and from crypto, which is basically a neutral ground for everybody.
Yes, exactly. So it's here maybe also just a reminder, there is a FIP process in place for the Fair Data Protocol. Web developers think about it, how you can contribute. It's how the problems that you're addressing, how it can be also addressed within Fair Data Protocol, and interoperable. And here, maybe at this point, I would thank you, Victor, for the presentation. We need to also follow up on my stack demo from before. The account got created. In the meantime, it was after internal consultation, it seems that my browser cache is full of different versions and it's just messing up, but the account was created. But first, before we do this demo of the Honest Inbox, we have one more person here to join us, right, Antonio?
Yes, we do.
So
Manuel, are you around?
Yes, I am.
Hello,
Hello,
Manu.
everyone. Well,
Hi, Manu.
I'm the new the new guy in the team, so it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the presentation and for the opportunity. Let me make you a quick tour of the application of FadeDrop, and then we can continue to the real demo, which is very interesting. So
Awesome.
let me share my screen. Here it is. Okay. Can you see my? No, not yet.
Yeah,
Now
you can.
Okay, perfect. So FadeDrop, for those who doesn't know the project, is a tool designed to fight against the my cat is trying to fight against me, but not the case. FadeDrop is a tool designed to fight against the censorship and protect data, personal data. Okay, so with that in mind, we try to do a simple application so anyone can use it. So the point here is you don't need to know about wallets, about crypto, and you don't have to have any idea of any of the concepts with Web3. Okay, so with that in mind, I'll show you. I already logged into the platform, so we can skip the register process. And what can we do in this application? It's so simple. Just imagine I want to share with someone a file or image of my nipple. Okay, so this is a case that is in the media. Instagram doesn't allow to upload a nipple photograph on their platform, but we can do it. Okay, this is not my real nipple, but it's worth it. Okay, so if I drag and drop the file here in the same quick way, this is a simple way of uploading things into the Swarm network. Okay, so it's quite fast. I can copy the link, and if we go here, there is this is my photo. Okay, so this is one of the use cases that FadeDrop covers, but it's more interesting if you think of how people interact in the Web2 world. They share things to her friends, to their boss, to whoever they want, and they are using email. Okay, the email address is so common, everyone knows how to create an email. So this is the same. Okay, we are creating mailboxes, which is the process that got stuck before with Gregor. But once you have one mailbox, and you know the mailbox of your friend, girlfriend, insert here whoever you want, you can share securely and encrypted a file to that person. So simple as this. Let's do a quick run. So I drag and drop again, but this time I will send the file encrypted. What's happening here? Okay, the application is asking me to who you want to share this file. For this demo purpose, I will send this to my another mailbox. Okay, Mancas bar. So just imagine I misspell the application. Okay, this is already seeds, of course, but don't worry about that. Let's send this to my other account. And as you can see, this is the file, this is the size. Okay, this is just a summary. But the interesting things start to happen when I push that button. What I'm doing here, we are uploading the file, but first we are encrypted with the public key of the recipient person. So it's absolutely protected. Only the recipient person can see this file. Okay, so this is very cool to fight against the censorship. and to protect personal data. Finally, what I want to show you is if I come here to my files, this is my dashboard. As you see, I've sent a lot of things. There are test things, of course, but there is a new feature, a very interesting feature, which is the honest inbox. What is this? If I click on here, what I see is what other people can see. This is public. I mean, anyone can see this. This is like a landing page, a regular landing page of Web 2, but it's connected using a library we built, which is called fds.js. You can find it on NPM, okay? The interesting part here is that anyone with that link can send me any file. Just imagine I found some compromised document from my company or some dark things from whoever you want. You can send to this link and I will receive in an anonymous way. So your identity is fully protected. You can claim about something, sending the file, sending the clues. So this is very, very, very interesting. I think, Gregor, you want to do this demo because it's quite awesome. If you want to share with Antonio, for example, your honest link.
Well, I would here just suggest we see, your username. So Antonio can just drop
yeah, sure,
into your inbox.
Okay.
What do you say, Antonio?
In the meantime.
Okay, can you please, what was the further there?
Let me share with you, Antonio. In the meantime, if you try to guess another, I don't know, just imagine I want to share something to Gregor, but this is not the Gregor name. You'll find a very nice, not found page, which is
I don't know which username is. I see it now.
You can
very
play
nice.
around with this.
Yes.
It's so nice.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yes, I think here it's also one important thing that we need also to mention with Fairdrop is what didn't we see in your demo, Manuel? In the whole of demo, we didn't see one Ethereum address. So
that's right.
It's very, very user friendly for also, let's say, people who are not so home in the Ethereum space. It's also to send files, you don't need even MetaMask. So it's onboarding is really in a way optimized, and this new version also it's going to be hosted. We didn't have time today, but we will correct this very soon. It's going to be also hosted on Swarm. And what happens with this, when you think about it, it's not just that it's mega cool to access fairdrop.bzz.link, but by having it on Swarm, we actually made it possible that anybody can start sending files. You spin up a gateway, even if you don't have access to public gateways or anything, and you can load the application directly from Swarm and send the files. So it's really, enabling liberties, and it starts with a file transfer. Now, maybe Antonio, you hijack the screen that we see how you drop.
I am dropping it, but the thing is waiting. Hold on a second. Let me share my screen, which is here.
It could take a while, Antonio.
It's processing request.
Yeah. Antonio, we discussed no 2 GB files for demo.
Yeah. That's the only files I use. It's taking a while, so I'll keep you updated as soon as it is.
Yes.
Reese.
Okay, so it's it's the demo gods today, we didn't pay for extra bandwidth.
Yeah,
we didn't do the sacrifice.
It's been a bumpy day, but that's cool. Yeah. I'll share with you as soon as it goes. We can. I think we can proceed with the next demo.
Yes. So the next step from decentralized we transfer. Let's put it like this. We come to where did Manuel disappear? We come to decentralized Dropbox. That's actually a lot more. When you add the powers of data interoperability to Dropbox, you get like the next level Dropbox. And Angela is going to tell us more about it. Hi, Angela.
Hello. Let me see here. Let me share my screen. And let's see. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes. Looks great. So I would suggest, Angela, the floor is yours. And then after the talk, we follow up and we also check on Antonia's secret drop.
Cool. All right. So hello, good afternoon, evening, wherever you guys are, planet Earth, metaverse, underground, I don't know. But as Gregor stated, I'm Angela and I am the product owner for FairDrive. So I wanted to take a little bit of time and talk about digital safe spaces. So what you can expect today, my screen will move, is why does FairDrive exist? Who does it exist for? And how does it work? And then really what's next for FairDrive? So how does a digital safe space relate to Fair Data Society and FairDrive? I'm hoping that this is fairly obvious, and it's within my scope of work to make some assumptions, but to be totally clear about what we mean, what we're really saying when we're uttering FairDrive is your digital safe space is that you have control over your data. What you put into FairDrive cannot be monetized or weaponized against you. In our current economy, you are the product. Your data are the gold coins big data firms are trying to collect in order to level up in their next scheme to sell goods, services, whatever the case may be to you. And it's unwarranted. Not only is this data being used to advertise and sell to you, it's also being sold on your behalf to other firms wanting to do the same thing for whatever goods, services, et cetera, that they offer. So I don't know about you, but that feels like a hustle that I'm not necessarily interested in being a part of. So how can we live digitally free? Enter FairDrive, which utilizes encryption and decentralized infrastructure to create your digital safe space controlled by you. And so we want to put the power and control back in your hands so that when you tap the keyboard, you feel safe that you're not a pawn in someone else's grand scheme. So basically, FairDrive is your digital self-sovereign space, no middleman, no censorship, full privacy and control. So who is FairDrive equipped for? Honestly, everyone, truly. But I want to explore two user types that are the most obvious. So we have the end user and then there's the developer. So as an end user, FairDrive, I think is very user-friendly. It's a personal data store. It's reminiscent of a Google Drive and or a Dropbox, but again, it is encrypted and it is decentralized. And the interface is intuitive enough for anybody who is still noodling around in sort of the Web 2 space to transition into Web 3 and start to understand the power of the space. And then alternatively, as a developer, FairDrive is a quick way to develop dApps on Swarm. So I know you guys are all here for recipe content, totally kidding, and I don't really cook. But if I may, I'd love to share a recipe with you. And it's a recipe for an unstoppable dApp. So basically, you fork something, you connect it with FairDrive, and then you go ahead and add it to a BZZ link. And now you have this new cool decentralized dApp on Swarm. And so it's a really quick way for people to get up and running on sort of the Swarm infrastructure by using this sort of recipe. So I know that was a lame joke. I felt like I needed to say it. So thanks for humoring me. And then also from a developer perspective, I'd like to note that any development on FairDrive will follow that of the Fair Data Protocol that you guys just heard a bit about. And that relates for interoperability with different storage backends. So then we have specifics on FairDrive. So You guys may have heard this before, especially if you heard me speak at ETH Denver, but FairDrive is a dApp that consists of a typical Drive interface with files and folders and a BZZ wallet to manage token balances and key pairs. So under the hood, the engine is running on a file system on top of Ethereum Swarm. And so if we're to talk through kind of what that stack looks like, basically FairDrive is that dApp, which creates the UI layer. And then we have the Fair Data Protocol, which is used to communicate with FairOS, which is sitting right on top of Swarm. And so I picture each of these layers as almost an additional piece of armor that talks to one another to keep my data safe. And so then very quickly going into like, now that we know, did I mess up my slides here? Hold on a second. Yeah, so now that we know the foundation of why and who and what, just to quickly talk about what we're working through next is NFT support. So the idea here is that a user will be able to generate an NFT based on their data stored in Swarm. We are looking to expand our ecosystem or our dApp marketplace with additional product offerings. And then added apps will link to file extensions. For example, if you're like a PDF reader is certified, all users will be able to use it automatically on their files. So just like Finder shows all files related to Acrobat Reader. This is planned to be managed eventually by a DAO. So that all went really, really quick. Let me switch screens here for a second, because what I'd like to do is actually take you through FairDrive a bit itself. And I am quite terrified to do this right now, just based on how the demo gods have been treating us thus far today. But you know what? I'm feeling good vibes, so I'm going to put some positive thoughts into the universe for this. And boom. All right, so hopefully you guys can see the FairDrive dApp on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to register a new account to start. So let's see. I'm a test person. All right, and I'm going to create my account. I'm not going to save that. And so you'll get a seed phrase when you go to register your account or create your account. I'm going to go ahead and download all in case I mess something up here and save those bad boys. Identify and gentle. Okay. And then I know I need to add in the seed phrase. And I already forgot that last word. Gentle. Okay. And go. Okay, great. So I've just created a new account. A few things to note in here. I do get an avatar sort of pre-generated for me. I can see my registered account name. I can export the data that I've saved into my drive. I can also log out. If you like dark mode better, you can certainly set that up. There's a search component, and then just sort of this home view. So the main crux right now of FairDrive is this drive portion. Talk about that in a second. The Explore dApps is what I talked about just a few slides back. It's the ecosystem that we're trying to build of dApp developers that want to build on top of Swarm, and then a link out to our documentation as well. So the core feature drive here, when you go ahead and you register an account, you are kind of preloaded, if you will, 2 different pods, your consents pod and then your home pod. I have the ability to see what files are just mine that no one else can access. And then I can also see different files that I've shared out to, I don't know, like a friend, a colleague, whoever you need to share some data with. So those are separately denoted. And then I have the ability to upload new things, create a folder, search and filter as well. And then finally, and I'm going to log into an existing account as well that has more data in it. And I'll run through some of those features in just a second here. And then the last piece is the Explore tab. So today we are supporting Dracula, which is a markdown editor, Fairphoto, PhotoDApp, and then Consents, which is a consent viewer that opens up outside of FairDrive itself. So I'm going to go ahead and log out, and then I'm going to log back in with an account that should have some data here. Okay. All right. And you can see that my little avatar up here changed as well. And obviously like the account name too. So if I go into Drive, you can see, again, I have my consents in my home that were automatically created for me. And then I have these additional files in here right now. So I can go ahead and I can access this data. Yes. Okay, cool. And so I've got these 3 folders of NFTs. Right now, these are just static images, just so I can kind of play around with it. but I can select a folder and then I can go ahead and select the data. And then in a second here, the preview file will show up. From here, I can download, I can share, or I can actually delete as well. And you can see the date at which the file was created, which is pretty cool. If I were to go ahead and let's say I want to upload some additional data, I've got a WAM folder here. I want to go ahead and equip myself with some scheduling information. So I go ahead and I'm going to upload my file. This was sitting on my desktop that I just had dragged in. You see it's attached here, and I'm going to go ahead and upload the content and go. So things are moving a little slow today. You guys may have noticed. It is uploaded. Now we can see my file that I had just shared in here. The other really cool thing that I want to show, let me go back. NFTs. All right. So now that there's a few bits of data, you can see the difference between the sort from the image to sort of the list view here. And then I can go ahead and sort by ascending and descending as well. We've got pagination set up. And then also from this sort of list view, I can go ahead and I can preview, I can open it, I can delete from here as well. So that's sort of the drive portion here. Explore. All right, so bear with me. I'm really hoping that this works. So Dracula, you can see that it opened a separate text editor page. I'm going to go ahead and connect to my actual FairDrive account because this is a separate dApp. And I'm going to tie them all together. Okay, cool. So I have some additional options up here in Dracula now that if I were to, I'm going to go ahead and just type some stuff. Cool. And I would like to save my file, but let me go ahead and let's put it in, we'll just throw it back into my NFTs. So I selected the pod that I want for it to save in my drive. And then I'm just gonna NFT text test, name my file, and let's see if I can save this file here. So if I go back into my FairDrive, if I go into my drive, my NFT, and now I have that text document that I had just created is now saved into my drive. So a really great display of adapt the interoperability that we have here and some of the features that we are looking to expand and build out. So eventually, you know, this will be a larger marketplace that you should be able to search from. And actually, if I now type in my search window here, so WOW comes up, my world of women, and the search itself will search across what's in a singular pod to pull up the data that I'm looking for in theory. And then the other thing that I did want to quickly point out is up here at the top, the root file structure, this will update as well based on what you're trying to do. So that is basically where FairDrive stands today and a little sneak peek about where we're trying to go in the future. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but that I believe is pretty much all I had for you guys. And I talk really fast, so sorry.
It's amazing. It was amazing, Angela. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We needed a woman here to actually start making things work. It was pretty cool. Thank you.
The future is amazing. Yes. So.
It's taken a lot of hard work and a lot of feedback from people to get us to this point. And I hope that you guys can see if you've seen FairDrive in the past, I think it's really important that we took the steps forward to make it as usable as possible. Because again, it is that sort of top UI layer that we want for it to be simple so that my mom or, you know, an uncle or anybody that can feel comfortable logging in, registering, it gets them used to the concept of a seed phrase. And it works just like any other storage that they should be used to, except it's encrypted and decentralized.
Yes, and you know, it's I think you pointed out to a very important thing that that maybe it's not even noticed. Like when we speak about the usability, that it's friendly to the user, it's developing a decentralized app that runs on decentralized storage. You know, maybe on the outside, it looks like you said that it's the reminiscent of Google Drive, but maybe just on the outside, but the inside is completely different. And to find these solutions to actually make it make it work. It's it's a journey into the unknown on its own. Yes, it's awesome work here.
Yeah, we just really want people to be comfortable taking that step into the space, because it can be very intimidating, and I think we all know it doesn't need to be, and it's on us to help educate people and get people there.
Absolutely, and I think it's a great way to get people in, because storing files is something that everyone has this need. I mean, maybe not everybody is going to use DeFi things, but everybody needs storage. So
yeah. I mean, it's like I see it also. It's like when we went from our, let's say, computers, from our PCs online, some of the things also happened that we didn't really notice. It's like when I use applications on my computer, doesn't matter, it can be a video editing software, for example, then the video files get stored on my drive. If I use a music editing software, MP3 files also get stored on my drive, and I just open up the video editing software and I load up that file. But the web experience is that we need to get like everything in a package. I use this web app, and I'm forced to be using the developer storage, and it's kind of unnatural. So it's the way FairDrive is really this window into Web3's file system, helping reclaiming agency for the users. It's I think really important. And also it's developers themselves, it's like this is here, the more we work together, the more applications use it, the bigger the network effects. And a developer coming with a new app, and it's going to be, let's assume it's verified, it's featured in the App Store in the Explore section, such that immediately onboards very frictionless other users of FairDrive. It just pops up, so to speak. So it's really exciting. Working together, I think, can unlock a lot more value. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
cool.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Angela.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, Angela.
It was very enjoyable. Thank you.
I think that the files, before wrapping up, I think that the files to Manuel has arrived. And I don't know if Manuel, you're still there. Yep. You can please show us your screen about what you see when the file has arrived.
Sure. Let me select the correct browser screen so you can see anything where. Okay, I think this is what. Yeah. Do you see my screen? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I have this file from here, which I know is from Antonio, but in the real world, I only see that it comes from the honest inbox, and the time, the size, and I can download the image. Okay, so if I download the image, not sure if you are going to see this, but it's a cartoon image, right, Antonio?
Yeah, that's the storage I need. That's what I do when you give me storage. But yeah, what I want to point out is that that's all the information that you have, that you have no way to know who sent it to you, because it went through Swarm to the network. So you just receive the file.
Here we do need to give a disclaimer that still we don't have the code audited. It's experimental software, and I would say it's also call to action to the community. Let's make it more resilient. Let's see, let's also improve it. It's there's surely ways we can even make it like strong. So still, it's a one step towards empowering digital freedom, but we are still in beta. Let this also sink in, because the use cases that we are also here discussing, well, they can bring some also inconveniences along with it, let's put it so, for some people. So it's beta. Yeah, back to you, Antonio.
No, that was it. And I think that this is a good moment to wrap it up.
One more thing, actually. I heard that today,
thank you, Manuel,
as it's first day, and people are claiming experience points, and maybe for some it took a little bit longer to get onboarded, to get all the tokens sorted out and things like that. So I've heard that the window to claim experience tokens has been opened again. So those who missed out on the first round, here's the second round.
There you go. There you go. And if you claim it twice, you get it given the double.
I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible. We also, I think, need to check. I think this second window of opportunity has a little bit of decrease with it, but not much. So nothing is lost in the game and competition. Everything is still open. Yes.
Cool. Awesome.
Awesome. Should we call it a day?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah. Time to go and do some coding, activism, or art, or just play some games, I guess.
Let's. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
everybody
who has been here. So,
bye-bye.